Canadians want to say. I'm Brian Lilley with TheRebel.Media. You've heard the calls for electoral reform and the vague promise from the federal Liberals to end the first-past-the-post voting system. But what you have not heard is what Canadians think on this issue. Until now, we have the results of the poll paid for by you, the supporters of the Rebel. The poll that asks Canadians in a very neutral way whether they think the people should get a vote on any sort of change to the voting system. And the answer is a resounding yes. You've heard the minister in charge say she wants to hear from all voices.
We're going to engage in a thoughtful and thorough process about the various electoral reform options available. Unlike the previous government, we have every interest in making sure that the voices of Canadians are heard throughout this process.
Funny enough, though, the voices she won't allow to be heard, those are the common people. Asked directly about a referendum at the beginning of December, and she said, well, doing that would prejudice the consultations.
That what we committed to was an open and robust process of consultation, and I will not prejudice the outcome of that consultation process by committing to a referendum.
Since then, the Liberals have been clear. In two interviews with CTV at the end of 2015, both Liberal House Leader Domenic Leblanc and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said no to a referendum. But one thing is clear. Canadians believe they should have the final say on any changes to the voting system. Here's how we put the question to Canadians in a national poll, a poll of 1,511 adult Canadians, a poll considered to have a margin of error of plus or minus 2.5 percentage points 19 times out of 20. We said, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has promised to change the way MPs are elected for the next federal election. Some people say that any change to the electoral system should be approved by the people in a referendum. Other people say that since it was promised in Trudeau's election platform, a referendum is not needed. Which of the following statements is closest to your own point of view? Canadians should be allowed to approve changes to the electoral system through a referendum, or the government should be allowed to make changes to the electoral system with no referendum. The results? An astounding 73% of Canadians say we should get a vote, that any changes should be approved through a national referendum. In Alberta, 83% say there should be a referendum. In the Prairies, 78%. And in both Ontario and Atlantic Canada, areas where Trudeau and the Liberals won big, 77% say there should be a referendum. Support is strong for this across the country, among every age group, every demographic group, every educational cutout you can think of. The Liberals think, though, that they can push these changes through because they won 39% of the vote in the last election. That may give you a majority government, but that is not a mandate to change how the system works in such a fundamental way. A point being made by such strong Liberals as former Cabinet Minister Ujjal Dosanjh, longtime Vancouver Liberal Gordon Gibson, and War Room pioneer Warren Kinsella out of Toronto. The people who are elected cannot change the system themselves, not without a say from the people, because they will inevitably do it in a way that benefits themselves. And they cannot claim that committee consultations are as robust and thorough as they say. They are often stacked and partisan. I've covered them for a decade. The people need to have their say, whether you support electoral reform or the current system. If you believe in democracy, then you need to push for a referendum. Sign our petition at letusvote.ca and add your name to the thousands upon thousands that have said they demand a say. Go now, letusvote.ca, and add your name. Sign the petition.